This movie will continue on with dimensioning by adding the ordinate and running dimensioning styles. To get started, let's go ahead up here to Smart Dimension, and directly below that, click on the drop-down arrow, and we're going to go ahead and choose the horizontal ordinate dimension. To use this dimensioning scheme, what we're going to do is going to choose what is the baseline of the part. In this case here, I'm going to choose this edge here, and as I click on that, I'm going to actually drag down this little 0 mark right below the part. Now, any item I click on in the part will automatically add to this dimension. So if I click on this first hole here, it adds a dimension. If I click on the second hole here, it adds the dimension. This line here, this hole here, this line there, this line, this hole, the end of the part. Really quick way to dimension. It's a great way to add a lot of dimensions quickly, and it's very compact. It only uses one line across the bottom of the part versus stacking it down the part. I can do the exact same thing going up as well. So I can say a vertical ordinate. Again, choose the bottom of the part as my baseline, drag out the 0 point, and then start dimensioning each one of these individual holes across the part. If you need to go back, add something else, no problem. Click on a line. It automatically adds it in. Go up here to the top. You can add a line here. You can add lines all the way across your part. Very easy. And if you need to add something later, you can always go back to that ordinate dimension and add it later by right-clicking on it and coming down here to Add to Ordinate. That will automatically add it back in just in case you forgot something. A very quick way to add a lot of dimensions to a part. This is especially great for items like sheet metal that have a ton of holes, a ton of features all over the part, and your typical dimensioning schemes like a baseline or chain dimensioning scheme would just make a total mess of the drawing. This is a very clean and concise, easy way to represent quite a few dimensions across a part. I also want to point out that we have what's new in SOLIDWORKS 2014 is what we call this angular running dimension. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up a new part. And you can see I have this part here with a bunch of these little holes in a circular pattern. So I want to go ahead and create a drawing for that. So I'm going to come up here to File, Make Drawing from Part, choose that same template we've been using, the TT one. Go ahead and open that up. And by default, it opens up and places a couple views on my drawing from that template we created. That's great. And now what I want to do is dimension where these holes are. Before, you'd have to actually make an individual dimension from each hole. Now what they've added is what's called an angular running dimension. So go ahead and choose that. My first option is where is the circle or what we're going to use to make this go around, and click on this outside edge. And then notice as I have my cursor, I can move this around and it snaps to different angles. So I can snap to 0 over here or 0 up here, wherever you want to place that 0 mark. In this case here, I'm going to place it right above. And then any item I click on, it automatically adds that dimension. So I can quickly dimension the angle between all these different holes very quickly. Pretty handy. It's a nice new feature for 2014. There are various tools to dimension parts, and depending on the conditions and the amount of dimensions will determine the best dimensioning scheme. There are no hard and fast rules about the best way. However, best practice would be to try to relate the information in the easiest and most direct way.